everyone, I'm Lauren and welcome back to Light and Lavender, where we talk about all things books and my own writing journey. Recently I got tagged by the wonderful Rebecca at Rebecca Reads to do the Book Scavenger Hunt. Unfortunately, because obviously I don't film in front of my bookshelf, I can't do like the scavenger hunt live on camera, but I have gone through and found my books. I didn't time it, but I think it took me about 30 minutes, especially because one of the prompts was really difficult for me and I've had to kind of tweak it to be able to make it fit. So I'm going to leave a list of all the prompts down below, so if you want to do this tag then you are welcome to, but don't forget to link back to Rebecca's video because she's put this one together. So the first prompt is, what has been your favourite read of the year so far? For me that is Shielded by Kaylin Flanders. This is my most recent 5-star read. I really couldn't put it down, I just wanted to read it continuously. I just wanted to know what was happening, I wanted to know the ending. I was so excited to be able to just read this. I got this from a Fairy Loot box, so it's not something that I bought knowing about it, but I'm so glad that I've got it and I've had the chance to read it, and I would really recommend it. We focus on the life of Jenna, who is a second born daughter to the kingdom. In her family, the heir to the throne has a white streak in their hair, which also represents their ability to use magic. Unfortunately for Jenna, she's also got a streak as well as her older brother, so she's tried to hide this for her entire life, which meant that she has cut herself off from society, from the court, just tried to push herself back as far as she can because she doesn't want anyone to think that she would usurp the throne from her brother. I think this is a really good book. It's a really good YA book. It does deal with a lot of your standard sort of tropes of, it's more of a medieval European fantasy setting. There's your warring kingdoms, the dark magic, the sort of like dark lord figure, and I do really like it. It's a great book, I would really recommend it, and it's definitely been my best read so far. That's not a reread. The second prompt is, what has been your least favourite read of the year so far? This one wasn't actually that difficult. There's only been one book that stood out for me this year, has been absolutely awful and that I would never recommend. Even though it's not a 1-star read, I think it probably should be. I can understand why some people like it. I did love the overall premise, but I just really hate this book. And that is One Day by David Nichols. Yeah, David Nichols. I don't even remember the author's name. I absolutely hated it. I loved this book up until literally the last page of part 4 and the entirety of part 5. And I wanted to chuck the book out of the window. The only reason this hasn't been on hold yet is because of all the lockdowns that's been going on. But honestly, this is potentially the worst book I have ever read in my life, and I hate it and I don't want anything to do with it. The third prompt is a book that begins with one of the initials for your name. This one was actually a lot more difficult than I thought because I have got 3 initials, so I can use L, A or B, and A is everything because you can have like A something, but I thought that was cheating. But I don't have that many books to begin with either an L or a B, but then recently I picked one up and I'm so glad I did because it fits perfectly. And that is Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng. I don't really know what this book is about. I'm pretty sure it's about a woman who moves into a suburban area and there's some sort of like bad dynamics between her and the other people. I don't really know all of it. I think someone mentioned something about adoption in this book, but I'm not entirely sure. But I do really want to read it. I'm excited to get around to this one as well. Hopefully I'll be reading this one soon. Prompt 4 was a book with a trope that you love. Honestly, tropes, I don't really think about the ones that I like. I guess I do have tropes that I like because there'll be books that I really enjoy more than others, but I couldn't specifically think of one. So I went looking through all my books pretty much just to see if I could find one, and I stumbled across The Perfect Form because 1, I love the book in general, and 2, it does actually have a trope that I really enjoy. And that is Going Postal by Terry Pratchett. The only version I've got is the Spanish one, so in Spanish it's Cartas en el Asunto, which I have had since, I think I bought this in Salamanca, so that's like 7 years ago. I don't know if I've read the Spanish version, but this deals with a character called Litvig von Moist. Yeah. Oh no. I always get this wrong. This deals with a character called Moist von Litvig, who is a lovable rogue, pretty much. He is, I think he's a criminal mastermind. I'm going to try and read this. Yeah, so he's like a con artist, and he's given the chance to avoid certain death by taking over the postal system, and during this he becomes a true hero to the city, and I love this book. It's such a great book. I do love the trope of getting like the bad guy who then turns good. It's one of my favourite things. I guess it's just like having a really good redemption arc, but the way that he doesn't only do the job to get out of the punishment. He does it because he actually begins to enjoy it and he enjoys being the postal master. Oh, I love it. Definitely recommend this book if you've never read it. Prompt 5 is a book with a trope that you don't love. Again, I struggled with this. I was trying to think of something that I don't really like, and eventually I came across Evermore by Alison Noel? Yeah, Alison Noel. Noel? I'm gonna go Noel because it's got the umlauts. I have had this book for years. I do actually like this book, but it has like an amnesia insta-love trope in it, and because they're kind of combined, and I don't really like that element. I think the vampires. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the love interest in this book is a vampire. So it was like around the time of Twilight and Hunger Games that came out. I liked this book, but I remember disliking parts of it as well, and I'm pretty sure it was like this amnesia, insta-love, immortal love, reincarnated love thing. I just didn't like it. I felt like there was no free will in the romance. I have not read this for a while and I'm tempted to reread it to see if I do still enjoy it or not. If I don't, I've got a French version of this book as well, which means I've got to try and get rid of a French version of this book. Prompt 6 was to find a book that is written in prose. I don't actually have any like fiction novels written in prose, so I've cheated. I've gone for And Still I Rise by Maya Angelou. I got this book for my A-level class. I think this was 2009, and I loved it. I absolutely loved Maya Angelou's poetry. I think it's so strong, it's beautifully written. I love the empowerment with it. I love the way that she's just such a force of nature, and the way that she's so, I want to say dominating, but I don't mean it in like the negative connotations that can be taken. I mean in the way that she is her own person, and she doesn't need anyone else, and I just loved it. I loved the empowering, that's it, she's an empowering individual. I loved the empowerment within this book and in this poetry collection. It's one of my favourites. I've always wanted to read I Know When the Caged Bird Sings, I think is the title. I think that's one of the poems. I think it's one of the poems in it, but I can't remember. But I really enjoyed this, and so because I don't actually have any books written in prose, I'm going to use this one. Prompt 7 was to choose a book that had got disability rep in it. I think this book counts. I've not actually read it, so I don't think I've got many books that actually have disability rep in them, because most of mine are like, most of my books are 10 years old, if not older, and most of the books that I read before that were my mum's books, which are even older than that. It wasn't really a thing to have the books that I've bought have never really had that focus on them, because I think it was before the time period when people realised, actually no, we need to start need to start having characters who are normal, real people rather than the stereotypical normal person. So I've not really got a lot of them, so I don't think this one counts. And that is The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime by Mark Haddon. I have had this book for, I want to say 10 years, probably longer. I bought it from one of my sister's school fairs when she was in infant school. So I've had this for a really long time and I've never read it. My sister did spoil the ending to this for me, and I can't remember what that was, so I think I'm ready to read it now, because I didn't want to read it because I already knew what the ending was. So I actually read this in November. I know that this deals with a character who's got Asperger's syndrome, so in a way that's disability rep because it's representing that character. I have no idea what this character is represented like. I have no idea if it's a good representation or not, but this is the only book that I could find to fulfill this prompt. Prompt 8 is to find a book by an author who comes from the same county as you, like state, town. This one I kind of struggled with a little bit. I didn't know really what to choose. I've gone for Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. Charlotte Bronte and the Bronte sisters are all from Yorkshire, and I am from South Yorkshire, so I'm counting that. Jane Eyre focuses on a small girl who becomes an orphan, is taken in by her aunt, I want to say. She's treated terribly, she gets sent to a girls' school, she's not treated very well there either. She comes back home, becomes a governess, and then ends up meeting Mr. Rochester? Yeah. And then everything else is history. If you haven't read Jane Eyre, I would recommend it. It's one of the classics, but I think it's one of the good classics. I think that the information in it is quite important. I don't really like the ending. I feel like Mr. Rochester gets off too lightly. This was my English literature copy, but it doesn't look like I've written in it. But that's why the spine is like so badly broken, because I had to like use this for annotations almost 12 years ago. And now I'm starting to realise just quite how long ago it was since I did my A-levels. Prompt 9 is to find a hyped book. I guess this could have been about something that you were hyping or has been hyped out in general. I've gone for one that has been hyped by other people because I feel like otherwise it links with another prompt. So I've gone for The Life-Changing Magic of Not Giving an F by Sarah Knight. I recently picked this book up. I have been wanting to read this for, I want to say 5 years, maybe 4. It's not a long book, but it's pretty much about, I guess it's a self-help book in a way, just to focus on the things that are important to you and how to pretty much tell people no. I think is the overall premise of this. I'm really excited to read it, and it was a really hyped book and it's still hyped for me. Prompt 10 is an anticipated read that you had that has really let you down. I'm going to go with The Deathless Girls by Karen Millwood Hargrave. It seemed so wonderful, the premise and the possibility was there. So we get, this is a Bride of Dracula's retelling, and it seems to take forever to actually get to any sort of retelling because you know that that is the overall premise, you're waiting for it to happen. So the first 200 pages are a real big disappointment, and the last 70 to 100 pages are where all the story happens, at least in my opinion. So I am really disappointed with this book. I thought it was going to be wonderful and it's just so subpar to what I thought it was going to be. Prompt 11 is to find a gifted book. I don't have a lot of gifted books. People don't buy me books, which is really sad now I think about it. Most of the book, actually I think the majority of the books I own. And the vast majority, I think the book I've chosen for this is pretty much the only gifted book that I've got on my bookshelves, which is actually really sad. And the book I've gone for is Invierno en Madrid by C.J. Sampson, or as most people know of it, Winter in Madrid. I lived for a year in Madrid and I taught at a secondary school there. I taught the Spanish students English. So this book was gifted to me by the English department. On the first page I have some like little notes to me from the English department, just wishing me luck with everything, and this is the first book that I thought of really for this because it's a gifted book that I've got and I've never got round to reading it, so I don't know if it's a good one, but I don't think I'm ever going to get rid of it. This is just like a proper memento keepsake of my time in Madrid. And sometimes it makes me want to go back. I do miss it. And finally, we're at the final prompt, and that is an anticipated read. What book have you got that you are so looking forward to? Again, this one was like an instant no-brainer for me. There's one book that I've been wanting to read for the past few months, and I've still not got around to it, and I don't know why, because I really, really want to read it, and that is Star Daughter by Shweta I looked up how to pronounce this name. Shweta Takra. I think that's right. I did actually look up how to pronounce it and I have completely forgotten, so I'm going to apologise because I'm a terrible person. But this to me has got massive Neil Gaiman Stardust vibes. It's about a girl who is half star, half person, and she accidentally hurts her dad by using her star powers, so she goes to the celestial world, to all the other stars, to try and find a way to help him, but the only way that she can do it is if she accepts the challenge to take part in this weird battle thing. I think it's like a competition, but I really, 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 really want to read this book, and I don't know why I've not got round to it yet. I am so excited to read it. I've heard really great things about it. I think the representations book is going to be amazing, but I just want to read it now. Just let me read it. So that's the book that I am most anticipating reading, and I really hope it's a good one. I really hope that I'm not let down by this. So those are my 12 books for the Book Scavenger Hunt. It took me a while to find them, and I was racking my brains for some, and oh, there's so many books, I just don't know. There's too many of them. I'm not going to tag anyone to do this because I feel like it really depends on how much time you've got to do it, and I'm not sure how much time anyone's got at the moment. I know we're all in lockdown, but I don't know like what people's plans are. But if you do want to do this video, then please feel free to. All the prompts are going to be down below in the description box, and I can't wait to see what you actually come up with and what you put out there for this. If you liked this video, don't forget to give it a like, and if you want to see more videos from me, don't forget to hit subscribe. There's a new video out every single week. I hope you're all well and you're all stay safe, and until next time, bye!